Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. We had an excellent weekend. For those of you who aren't aware, this past weekend was our solstice celebration, which is very similar to a traditional Christmas, except we get to go out to eat. The nice thing about inventing your own holiday is that it's not a holiday, and we can do whatever we want because everything's still open, and we can go shopping, and which we do. So we tend to on Saturday do some, this year we made sugar cookies for we're talking a lot of sugar cookies and decorated sugar cookies. Went out to eat with family stuff. Did lights. There's a park here that has a light display we go to every year, and then we drive around and see lights in the neighborhoods. And there's one house here that has like one of those animated light shows with a radio station you can turn to. So we went to see that. That's like a normal thing. We've been doing the drive around and see the lights even like before Christmas since my oldest was little, because she was very very hard to get to sleep. And so when my kids were little, we were the family that there was nothing under the Christmas tree until Christmas morning. And so we would go Christmas shopping. Usually our Christmas shopping would start after Thanksgiving if we had money. If we didn't have money, it was like the first paycheck of the month. So it was always hectic because we would go buy all this stuff, but our kids were always, either here or active. There was no time, both me and their mom worked, so there was no time to like wrap anything. So on Christmas Eve, we would drive around until they both passed out, put them to bed, and then I would stay up and wrap presents and then put them under the tree. So that the driving around part has been a tradition for a long time. Since we've split time now between here and their mom's house, I can wrap presents when they're not here, and so part of my thing is there's presents under the tree, and I grew up that way. I grew up where mom started decorating in November, and the tree would go up, usually right after Thanksgiving, and then packages would start appearing under the tree, and so there was always like, oh, what's that? What's that? What's that? Lots of and I like that. So I've been putting the packages under the tree just, early. So we do the light thing still. Came home. We watched Christmas movies. Went to sleep. And then yesterday morning, solstice day morning, whatever you want to call it. Like the actual winter solstice is, I think, on the 21st this year. We celebrate our tradition the Sunday before, whenever that falls on. Doesn't matter. It's just the Sunday before. And it's nice because they get money. We can go shopping that day, which is something they always want to do on Christmas Day. Like, let's go shopping. Well, nothing's open anymore. It used to be Walmart would be open at like 6. They're not doing that anymore. So we open all of our gifts, and then we tend to just kind of chill, have some lunch, then go shopping for the afternoon, and then end at dinner. We'll have dinner out somewhere. So it's a beautiful holiday because it's not a holiday. Yesterday we went to the mall. It was crazy busy, like just ridiculously busy. They did some shopping, had some fun. We went to the local hibachi place for dinner, which was nice. And it was just a really good day. It was a really good weekend. Like, it's just a really exciting like time for us as a little family unit, because we created our own little thing, and it was kind of born not necessarily out of necessity, but their mom's family, like, Christmas was always this huge thing. It was always wake up, rip our packages real quick so we could get to grandma's house because that's where the real presents are, and everybody goes there, and it's food all day, and then usually everybody stayed there that night, all the grandkids and the kids, and all of us spouses stayed that night, and so it was always this big event. And when the kids moved out, I didn't want to have to make them like split that time with me. Like, well, they'll be at my house on Christmas afternoon, and you're like, I didn't want that. I wanted them to have, like, I wanted them to go enjoy that thing they've always had since they were little. And so we just decided to create our own holiday, and I've never really been particularly tied to the day of Christmas. Like that day is meaningless to me. So it works out great. We get to do our own thing. We get to have our own little traditions. They tell everybody at school that they celebrate the solstice, and people are like, "What is that?" Well, that's the shortest day of the year, you know. And we've started to build out our own little. Well, we already have we have a mythology that was anyway. We've been working out like we need to have some more like something that's ours, that's specifically ours, because right now when my kid's friends ask, she's like, well, it's basically just Christmas but on a different day. We'd like maybe to have something different other than we can go shopping. But so the thing is, last week we talked about taking notes and how I was going back to pen and paper. But of course, my wife got me a Kindle Scribe for Christmas. So I now have a digital notebook. So maybe this can satisfy both Chris and I, that I can have a place to take notes, somewhat physical notes. And for the most part, I've been really happy with the note interface on this. There are places to take like handwritten, like you can adjust the paper design. You can have dot graph or college rule or wide rule or whatever you want. That's pretty cool. You can also group it into folders. So I have folders for all the various topics, which is we talked about on Friday, having the ability to like, oh, I want to look up this thing. Well, I can just go to that folder and put things in there. So I can have individual notes, or I could have collections. Like I started my collection. We talked about having a commonplace book for Proverbs. Like, so I've started a collection for that, which will just be, I'll add pages as I need to, and I will just have my little notes in here. The handwriting, this also has handwriting detection, so I can email these notes to myself directly from the Kindle Scribe, and it will transcribe my handwriting, and it does a really good job. My handwriting isn't terrible. I mean, it can be. If I don't want you to read my notes, I will write it in my left-handed way, some really bizarre symbols that you may or may not recognize. And there's been a few people in my life that have been able to decipher my handwriting. But in general, my handwriting is pretty good. And it works really, really well on here. This is a Wacom interface. If you're familiar with Wacom drawing tablets, it's the same interface, so pressure sensitive, all that sort of stuff. And the nice thing is it rotates. So the intention is that it would work this way with the pen on this side for right-handed people. As a lefty, I can grab this thing backwards and it flips the screen for me, and I can work on it just fine. And I don't feel like I'm running off the page. The only problem I have with it, as a lefty, so if you've never seen a lefty write, because we're kind of pushing the pen across the paper, not dragging the pen across the paper like a right-handed person, a lot of left-handed people, or that's not necessarily the only reason. I was telling Malia earlier, I had a teacher, when I learned cursive, I got in trouble all the time because my letters were leaning backwards, because trying to hold a pen like a right-handed person. If you try to make the loops and swooshes, everything is leaning backwards. If you do the motions the way they show you to do the motions, everything leans this way. So to correct for that, most left-handed people end up writing kind of upside down. They twist their hands. I had my cousin used to like turn her paper sideways and like do something like this. It was bizarre to see her write. But anyway, when I'm up here at the top, I'm writing kind of top down. Most of my writing is top down like this. I'm not completely crooked. The problem with that is, like on any Kindle, the top of the screen is where you touch to bring up the menu bar. And so if I'm working at the top of the page, that menu bar pops up a lot. And that's somewhat frustrating. I wish there was a way to lock that down. It's been okay. The nice thing is, though, being that it's a Wacom, it's got good brushes. I've got, I can draw on here and do my sketches. I can do everything that I would do in a normal notebook. Whereas I could kind of do that on my phone. You can draw on Google Keep, but without a stylus, and the page is so small, it's difficult. This is pretty much the same size page as a standard composition book, which is what I used as a journal or a notebook anyway. So this feels very natural for me to use. So anyway, the point is, specifically Chris, I have a digital tablet for writing, and I'm very happy with it. Obviously, I use my regular Kindle a lot. The screen is crisper. This has got 300 points per inch or 300 DPI, whatever you want to call it, which is better than the Paperwhite that I currently have. So it's much easier. The letters are more defined. Reading on here has been fantastic. No difference than reading on my Paperwhite, except that it's a more like a trade paperback size, which I enjoy that size of book anyway. So I'm very, very excited about that. She did a very good job. I'm very, very happy. What'd you get up to this weekend? Did you do anything exciting? I think I told you all the exciting stuff. It's snowing here right now, but it's also like 38 degrees, so I don't think it's going to stick or do much. But we're supposed to get a lot of snow this afternoon. We'll see if that works out. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is tangential. It is an adjective meaning divergent or digressive, having little to do with the subject or matter at hand. New York is full of people with a feeling for the tangential adventure, the risky adventure, the interlude that's not likely to end in any double ring ceremony. Joan Didion, an American journalist. Tangential. Tangentil. What is a double ring? Oh, a wedding. That took me a second. Like, are we talking about boxing? What is going on here?